Next author is Jonathan Tipton Meyers. He's an actor, writer, and filmmaker, a native New Yorker who now resides in Los Angeles. It was the weather, right? He is a graduate of the American Academy of Dramatic Arts. He wrote and produced Homeschool Reunion, which is currently making the festival rounds, and recently launched We Are Traffic, a rideshare blog documenting our search for connection in Los Angeles, which made its debut in Angel's Flight Literary Fest. Please welcome Jonathan.
Wow. It is so good tonight to actually see everybody in this room like this. Thank you to everybody here for inviting me to participate in Black resistance in the time of Trump. For two reasons. One, because it means that someone knows I'm Black. Which is not easy to figure out. I understand. Like, I know some people are just like, it's like, are we in the right? And because I have a lot of resistance, obviously. And actually covers a lot of ground. She said it really elegantly. None of this is coming out elegantly. I have a lot of resistance to our president, but I have a lot of resistance to being Black. Because that's not necessarily how I walked through my life growing up, which was in New York in the 70s, in Manhattan, and I just was a kid who went to school. My parents were hippies and musicians, and I didn't have to think about who I was in relation to school, and I didn't think about whether I was Black or white, except for particular moments when we're all acknowledging oppression. So we're like negative moments. So the first moment I remember, I think, was Roots on television. And I sat there with everybody and I was solemnly acknowledging these things that were such a surprise. And I'm sitting there and I was like, this is really heavy. There are all these people and they're running around and they're in jungle clothes and what's going on? And did we really do this? And subsequently, every other time that I acknowledged that I was Black, it was something negative. That left, and then I went through school, and nobody ever thought about it. And then I applied for colleges, and I did some monologue for theater schools from Color Museum. And it was very righteous, very angry, and got a lot of juice. And so it was great, and I got into school, and then I didn't think about it. I dropped it. For a little while, I was just me in school. I came back to New York, and I started working, and I didn't think about anything else until Ronnie King and Crown Heights. And then I realized I didn't know a lot of my own history, so I went back to school and studied the African diaspora and found out all this stuff that I didn't know about, not only just slaves coming here, but all these inventions. There's all this crazy stuff like open heart surgery and the mailbox and the refrigerator and the railroad and the first Black woman millionaire entrepreneur and why didn't I know this? And then I realized, we're not supposed to know this because that's, it just makes slavery that much easier. And I was amazed, I was filled with pride, and then in that moment I just got really angry. And I realized why. And then I wrote this very big play about a race war, and I got a lot of juice. And it actually brought me out here, where I was going to make some money as an actor and then come back to New York to produce this play. And I got out here, and I couldn't get a Black job to save my life, because I wasn't Black enough. And it was like, people were looking at me the same way, they were just like, God, you're so interesting looking. Do you mind if I just, And so I got a bunch of jobs, but they were white. And by the way, I am white. My mother's Black, from Pennsylvania, my dad's Jewish from Brooklyn, so I am black and Jewish. I am bluish. And I couldn't get any more work, so I stopped. So I started to write. And at the time, everything was kind of Friends and Frasier, and there wasn't really a lot of color, and I didn't have anything to write. And so I couldn't write, so I went into business, and I bought a house and a bunch of other stuff. And thankfully it all blew up because I wasn't doing what I was supposed to. And I still couldn't figure it out. And then Obama won. And that was the first time I think that I was like, oh, I'm black and it's not bad. This is awesome. And not just because I felt good, or other black people, or my mom, who was freaking out because she just never thought that she would see this. But like, everybody felt good. And good because the guy is pretty good. He was unimpeachable, which he had to be because he's freaking Jackie Robinson, because his job was to hit home runs and round the bases while everybody spit at him and attempted murder. He's just supposed to take it all so that the next time the person comes through, we think, oh, that's not so unusual. It's just the next guy, right? And then on. And we had this election result like in 2 seconds. And I didn't know what to think. And I was surprised the same way I'm sure everybody was surprised in the room. And yeah, sure, because he's gone. And because, oh my God, I'm gonna miss him. But maybe it's also because I'm gonna miss the belief that I am good. And there's a real good chance that wasn't real, that was all fake. And it was just a relief, and we just got this guy. I mean, because it really did take like the brink of destruction, right? To go like, oh, that black guy would be awesome. Like, so who are we? Like, are we good? And I still know. And no, that's not true. The election was won by like 100,000 votes, so essentially it's like 5 people in a couple of states. And really it's a third of people that didn't want a black guy. And there's a third of people that didn't want a woman. And then there's a third of people that voted for the black guy. And totally were open to this most experienced professional woman who'd been in politics for years. But nobody came to talk to them. Like, or have brunch. Or really think about them or reference them in a point. And that was just this tipping point that pushed us over. And I thought, okay, it's not, I'm trying to hang on, like, it's okay, it's really not this. And then stuff starts happening, and you think, who are we? Are we good or not? And I really didn't know. But our president is so erratic that I know that it's not an agenda, that this guy doesn't have an agenda, because I'm from New York, he's a guy from Queens. He's a real estate broker. Do I have to go into more detail? I mean, look, dude, he didn't want to win. His agenda, he was branding for his company. Like, what real estate mogul would ever want to go into politics? Because he knows that, like, he had to get in bed with every slimy person and every slimy government. So that's the last thing he'd want to do. And then, whoa, he won. And we're like, oh, shit, I'm gonna be the president. Well, wait a minute. They didn't care about any of this other stuff, so they're not going to care about this. So it just doesn't matter. I could just go and I cannot worry about being arrested. And which is basically his biggest fear from the beginning. He's about ratings and not getting arrested. And so the theory is like, if I get my ratings up, I'm not going to be arrested. Right? And it makes sense. And it's the agenda of the people behind him that's premeditated, that's been going on for 30 or 40 years, dropping $500 in like every city council position, when we weren't doing that because we were busy talking about how much we cared about everybody. He's just stomping around in big diapers. He's just a big entitled person. And then it hit me, just like you said, he's a secret Santa. He's literally giving us these surprise gifts of awareness. And is it possible that literally the most entitled, misogynist, racist is by definition reflecting a mirror upon all of us, so that we can therefore examine our own levels of entitlement and privilege? Right? Because I certainly don't think, as much as it's time, that there would be a Me Too movement. if he wasn't our president, right now, in the state that it's in. Certainly Colin Kaepernick would be a dude looking for a job. You know, the guys in South Carolina, which be a bunch of guys that went to Home Depot and got some tiki torches, but I never would have heard about all this. And then I thought, oh, is he sly? Is he actually doing this because he knows this is the result that he wants to get? Is he the largest civil rights leader? Yeah. Serious? I'm serious. Is he like, these women, they're just not getting a fair shake. I know what I'll do. I'll just like grab everyone I can. I'll just like, yeah, of course. That's exactly what I'm doing. That Colin Kaepernick, that guy, that kid, the nice black kid. You know, the one with the afro. The one that looks like the hot black chick from Get Christy Love. What was her name? You know, with the afro. Colin, you know what I'll do? I'll just say something and I'll call him out. That'd be great. And I thought, no, he's just a guy who wants attention. And that is our saving grace, because he's constantly going to step in the way of the actual agenda that's behind him. And in the process, give us an opportunity to wake up. Because it wasn't his fault or the other side, it was our fault. It was my fault for believing in that radical ideas like universal health care or free education were just too much. And that we were like on this path, and it was totally going to be just keep going on this path that I really wasn't suffering in. You know, so that's on me. Right? But the question still is, are we good? And then last Friday, when the indictments were handed down in the Russian investigation regarding social media, and it was very clear at that point that millions of dollars had gone into social media to create ads to deceive us, and how big it was, and how much it played an actual role. You can't quantify it, of course, on purpose, but I heard that. I'm sitting in my car and I'm like, oh, thank God. Oh, thank God, it's actually true. Because it means we're not evil, right? We're malleable. We're ignorant. And I was like, oh yeah! Like, we're really stupid, yes! Truly, I was really happy. Because that means that we're still invested in this thing. This big, large thing with these papers that wasn't meant for us. But then those guys died, and we were like, we still want to do this. This crazy thing is like probably the biggest experiment in the history of mankind. And we're bummed because we thought we were on the 50 and we're on the 20. Like, who else is on the 20? You know? So this is an evolutionary process. And then it hit me, the rally, where Trump was standing and he's calling out, my African American. Where's my African American? And it stays with me. And I was thinking, first of all, I love the fact that it's singular. Because, you know, there's one. And two, that it was possessive. It was a possession. And then I realized nobody's ever referred to me like that. I didn't have to, I could drink from whatever fountain I want to. And I realized how entitled I am, how privileged I am. And then I realized I got a lot of work to do. And I'm grateful for him giving me that chance and waking me up. Where's my African American? He's like, he's right here. Thank you.